All right. Am I live? Am I live? Can I see some comments? Can somebody comment and let me know if I'm live? Yeah? I see no comments. 7 people are in chat. Yes. See some comments. All right. So here's the situation. Hey, can you guys see in the back? Can you guys see that? Does everybody see this? Shit. Does everybody see this setup? What am I doing wrong here? If I move it more this way? Yes! Alright, I think this is the setup. Can people see this? You can kind of see the panels? Barely. Alright, well, you don't need to see it perfectly. I'm gonna read some of Wano. Not great? Look, it's the best we've got. This is, shit. Okay. Let me see if I can angle this a little better. If I move this closer. Too bright. I can't change the brightness of this. This is a projector. Oh, there. How about that? It got good for a second. Shit. Alright, what if I do this? Do that. Shit. Oh, I like this. I can't lower the lights in the room. Not all rooms have a dimmer. I feel like the further away I go, the better it becomes, right? Move laptop. Alright. This is obviously optimal. But we can't have that the entire time. Oh, look at that. Tell me that's not a visible panel. Now you can't see me, though. Do you guys want to see me? You want to see me or the panels? Alright, this is it. This is the best we've got. Alright? Oh, it's hot. Alright. I see both. Hey, Morge, if Zoro, Armament, and Sanji's observation, do you think there's a chance Usopp will be using Conquerors? Yeah, but I don't think before the other two. Or I don't think Sanji's getting Conquerors because I feel like it doesn't fit his character. I do think Zoro's getting Conquerors, but definitely before Usopp, in my opinion. Man, I don't like reading like this, though. I'm sacrificing my own, Oh shit, I'm getting ahead of myself. I want to make sure that the stream is, we're starting. I'm going to start at chapter 909, but partway through it. So this is chapter 909 in the background. But you guys can see this mostly fine, right? Mostly fine? It's more high-tech day? Okay, look, I couldn't figure out how to do it like other streamers do, where, you have your face in one side, and then you've got, like, the panels and stuff on the other side. But this is the best we've got. You can mostly make out what's going on in the background. I'll tell you what chapter I'm on. All right, I'll announce it as we go along. Blurry. I know it's use OBS. Look, I didn't have time to figure that sort of thing out. Are you using OBS to record? No. What the fuck? Can you use Discord screen share? Should be possible to split screen it. You guys know what I'm doing right now? I'm recording from my phone. That's green screen, bro? No, this is a projector. Who do you think is the best written One Piece character? It's a difficult question. That's difficult. Like, I could say I think Luffy's the best written One Piece character, but he also has the least development, so it depends by what standard you want to say is the best written One Piece character. What type of phone? I have a Galaxy S8. I could split screen. No, I don't really. Look, this is just how we're rolling. All right, we're gonna roll like this. I'll tell you guys what chapter we're on. I will be doing an analysis of Wano. Just that's part of the reason I'm reading it right now. I'm gonna read it, then do an analysis. Hopefully out Monday. Please make this a VOD for your second channel. I will try. All right. Take one more question real quick, and then I'm just gonna start reading, and I'll be commenting as I read. Where have you been? I have been busy. That's not the question. I'll take a better question. Luffy doesn't need a. Well, I guess yeah. Luffy does need an origin, I suppose, but we've already gotten some origin. You have a second channel. Second channel will be made soon-ish. Not right now. Now is not the moment for the second channel. No, sorry. Like, it's not up right now, but, like, hopefully I'll have a second channel up by this weekend because I want to upload the videos I'm going to be taking down. Would you consider Act 2 a good build-up act? Yes, I do consider Act 2 a good build-up act. How many acts are there? There are 5. What's the C's one? C's? Second? Oh, what's the second? I'm going to assume you said second. Second channel is I want to take down, YouTube's algorithm, so it hurts you. It goes kind of by the average view count that you get for videos. So, like, older videos that, like, I don't think represent my channel that well, and that I personally don't like old chapter reviews and stuff, I want to take those down. But I'll re-upload them to a second channel just for it to be there. I'll probably do streams on the second channel in the future so I can save streams and such. You okay with this? Am I secretly BDA law? Yes. Are you okay with the second week? I missed that question. Alright, it's too late. I'm gonna start reading. I do think the chapter's kind of speedy. Okay, it's too late. It's too late. I'm starting reading. Alright, this is chapter 909. So the way I want to do this is mostly for me. I am going to give some thoughts as I go along, and I'll be looking at the comments as I go along, but this is mostly for me to refresh my memory on Wano and kind of get the full experience. This opening page is so cool. Like, I remember when we swapped from Reverie to Wano, it would have felt, a little. I mean, everybody was very happy that we were at Reverie, and everyone was excited at Reverie, and I think it would have been a little, like, people would have been a little more disappointed if not for the fact that Wano opened with such a cool panel, and it just set the tone so well, set the whole vibe of the place so well that I think people were just excited to. Like, it felt so fresh that I think I didn't mind that we were switching over to Wano because it seemed like Oda had clearly put a lot of time into this place. You know what I mean? Like, if we had just swapped over to Wano a little more abruptly, obviously it was abrupt, but if we just swapped over to Wano, like, if we had gotten to Wano the way that, Luffy gets to Wano next chapter, which is kind of just showing up on the shore, then it wouldn't have been as exciting, but this was a great opening for Wano. Okay, so you guys don't know what I'm seeing here. I'm reading the official translation. Um, but I obviously, when I initially read this, I read this on Jimini's box. Okay, so um, it's interesting to see, like, the official translation really nicely, it smooths over the dialogue pretty well. And I don't know how much. So, for example, Usopp here, when he's cutting up the paper in the official translation, he's saying 8, 16, 32, 64, as numerous as the sunset snow of Wano. So that dialogue doesn't really change anything story-wise, right? It's still the same general idea as whatever Usopp was probably saying in Jimini's box translation. But it does make the dialogue sound just better, you know what I mean? Like, it gives the dialogue, it adds more character, it makes it a little more poetic. So I think I've never read through all of Wano. I haven't read through all of Wano from start to finish, period. This is the first time doing that, but I haven't really been reading the official translations as much unless I really wanted to clarify something. But I do prefer reading the official translations. It's just that I only first got the subscription to read this, if you know what I mean. So I do appreciate that, like, the dialogue's just gonna be a lot smoother going forward. I didn't like Wano's beginning chapters. Wano's beginning chapters I actually really, really liked because, especially this opening chapter. This opening chapter was so nice to see the Strahds again in their natural element, basically. Like Usopp as a Totoro salesman, Frankie as a carpenter. Oh, Geisha Robin. I remember when this first came out, the internet went nuts over Geisha Robin. Uh, as soon as I saw Geisha Robin, like I knew that the first thing I'd see on Reddit would be like some colored version of Geisha Robin. That's the thing. I would have liked that we would have spent more time actually dealing with the locals. Or sorry, the Straw Hats pretending to be locals. I thought that was a fun plot line that we would have gotten to follow a little more. How far have you read? I mean, I'm current. I'm 100% current. Yeah, I saw that thing about the 955 translation. That's interesting. I don't really know what that means. Like, is that basically just saying hyperbole, 100,000 or whatever, or is that, a hint that we are actually going to be getting 100,000 allies in Wano, which I just don't. I don't know. It's hard for me to see at the moment. I love this part of the chapter. This scene was so cool. And also the official panels make it look a lot cleaner. I actually didn't really understand this panel. This I guess I'll point here. This the Zoro cutting the magistrate panel the first time. I interpreted it differently when I saw it here versus how it's depicted in the anime. I actually didn't realize it's like a. I didn't understand how he had done the slash basically, but the anime's interpretation makes sense. I forgot this Orlumbus cover storyline was going on in the background. I remember that everybody thought that storyline was really going somewhere, and then it kind of just didn't. I saw something on Twitter which was interesting. So basically, after Act 1 of Reverie, or sorry, before Act 1 of Wano started, we got this, which is Luffy's bounty. I don't know if you guys can see. We got Luffy's bounty, 1.5 billion. And then before Act 2 started, we got Blackbeard's bounty. And so somebody on Twitter was saying, oh, maybe before each act of Wano, we're going to get another Yonko's bounty. Which would kind of be cool because, Shanks' Big Mom. Is Oda rushing One Piece? No, I don't think so. They say the stars. Show the star. If he was rushing One Piece, then he wouldn't be like trying to make Wano as big as it is. But because Wano could easily be a lot. Like you could slim down Wano so much. There's so many characters. I'm probably not gonna save this stream. I'll see afterwards. Maybe if I have to figure out the situation with my second channel, but maybe I'll take this, put it on there. He's cutting important scenes. It depends. See, I think that we have to. I think once we get to the end of Wano, oh, I'm like barely in frame. Do you guys even want to see me? Yeah, you guys want to see me. Um, I'll try and stay in frame. I think he's cutting importance, like importance relative, obviously. So like, I think we have to get to the end of Wano before we can determine what an important scene was, right? Because like, if we get to the end of Wano and Sanji's got like two really great fights, then I think that we can go back and say that okay, the page one fight wasn't a big deal. You know what I mean? I'm still interested if we're going back to Reverie after all this. Jinbei might show up after Act 3, I think. Yo, my boy Sabo, no diff Green Bull. I don't know about that. Oh, I forgot. Nami had a really nice outfit here. You guys can't see because it's covered, but just believe me. Oh man, the Wano artwork. Like, okay, how do I? Do you guys remember this? You remember this page? This page was great. The waves, the way these waves are rolling around. Just kidding. I wish Oda was able to incorporate more of this sort of scenery into Wano because he's got so much to draw. You know what I mean? And I've heard that. Oh, sorry. I've heard that sometimes is this like he has people who draw backgrounds for certain things, like important backgrounds he'll draw. So he probably obviously drew this panel. But generally he has outside people or his assistants or whatever draw basic backgrounds, at least from what I've read. So it probably sucks that he doesn't get to make Wano always look the way he wants it to look. Like not every frame of Wano is gonna look like the panels in this chapter when he was introducing it. But hopefully the anime can do something like that. Any opinions on what the core fighters for fighting Kaido are gonna be? I'll give my prediction right now. One, I don't think the final battle with Kaido is happening. I just don't think it's happening in Act 3. Like, again, you all know my opinions on the Fire Festival, and you'll get a bit more of them tomorrow in tomorrow's video. But um, I don't think the fight's happening tomorrow. Here's my beliefs on who all is going to be. I think a lot of characters could fight Kaido. So it depends on what you consider like the final battle with Kaido or whatever. Like I could see, um, for example, personally, kind of a weird theory, but I think it's very possible that we could even see um, there's so many characters that we could like. It's possible we could see a lot of the scabbards go after Kaido. Like I could easily see the Dukes in Sulong form taking a shot at Kaido together because the Dukes in Sulong form are probably together pretty nuts. Like that's just a random thing, but like I'm just saying like I could see the scabbards all together taking a shot at Kaido first. Supernovas, yes, maybe. I'm not as sold on the idea that all the supernovas will team up against Kaido as some people are. Um, I don't even know about the Luffy Kid Law trio taking on Kaido at the same time, just because I believe that Law might die this arc, and I don't know when that is. But I could easily there's so many combinations we could say. I just know that the final round is just going to be Luffy versus Kaido, like the final round, like round. How many rounds are there in a boxing match? Like 12. I think there's 12 rounds in a boxing match, so like round 12 is all Luffy versus Kaido, and not just like Luffy getting a hit in on like the last hit on Kaido. I'm like saying that like the final battle will be Luffy versus Kaido. So some stuff can happen before then, but final battle is Luffy versus Kaido. I am pretty sure that Kid is going to get a good chunk of time against Kaido, maybe even by himself. And I am very certain that the straw not very certain, but I'm fairly certain that we're going to see the Straw Hats minus Luffy versus Kaido for a bit, because that goes along with my belief that Luffy is eventually going to have to protect his crew from Kaido. So we'll see. I just think that there's too many possible combinations for like who all could go at Kaido. I just know that the final combination is just going to be 1v1. Oh yeah, this panel. Even so, I didn't even recognize this pen. I'm looking at the Great Wave pen. Everything you guys see is mirrored. More, do you think Enma might be made out of sea stone? I really hope not. I don't like Enma's cool and all, but I just generally don't like the idea of somebody getting stronger because they're handed a weapon. So Enma sounds like it's something that Zoro has to master and then he gets stronger, which is cool. But if it's just a sea stone sword, it's just like, I don't like that personally. Yeah, the wave panel, like I didn't even make the connection to that Japanese painting right away. It had to be pointed out to me later on Reddit, but uh, when I saw it, this obviously looked like a really amazing panel, stylistically. Oh man, things look so much clearer in the official. Okay, I highly recommend, um, get the subscribe to the official translation or don't. I don't know, but I highly recommend like going back and reading a chapter in the official translation after reading it initially. It's just it looks so much nicer. The dialogue's just sharper, flows better. It also has like certain phrases that are just a little more, I guess you could say, elegant than the Jiminy Spox or manga stream translations. Just overall much smoother read. And now, of course, we know how Wano is constructed. The Kite. Yeah, official lets you read the most recent ones. So that's what I usually my pattern is like day of I obviously read on Gemini's box. Then yeah, usually day of if it's a good chapter, here's what happens. So day of I read on Gemini's box. Then later on I read on Manga Stream, usually like the same day if it's an exciting chapter and I just want to see it again. So I do it on Manga Stream just to get like a different interpretation, even though the translations are generally worse. So I do Gemini's box, then Manga Stream. Then a few days later, like to get the final read through, I read through the. So basically, like a good chapter, I'll read through 3 times, once on each translation. So that way, it's kind of fresh each time, but I'm letting it kind of sink in. I have actually not read 955 official translation yet, though, so I'll read that during this read through. For the record, I'm going actually really slow, so I imagine I'm not going to be reading through all of this at this rate, but we'll see where we get to. Sometimes Manga Stream does better. Sometimes Manga Stream does better. I beg you, leave the stream up. Okay, I will see something. I'll see what's up. Maybe I can put it second channel. Just wait for the second channel. But I can't even guarantee this will be on the second channel because this will be my first attempt at taking something like this. I'm so bad at streams already. Like, you understand what I'm having? This is not normal, the setup that I'm having to do here. Alright? This is my jank, rough setup, the roughest way possible that I can show you the panels and my face at the same time. So, maybe the stream can stay up, but, do you believe in miracles? That's the question here. For the record, I'm not at all trying to have it on my main channel, just because streams really hurt your viewership, apparently. Ask Brago. You know why Brago stayed at, like, 15k subs for so long? Because he did so many streams. Streams don't help your channel grow. Brago switched over to BD8 Law, and boom, just like that. Obviously, he's doing good content and uploading very consistently. But like, that's what I want to do. I want to do good content and upload consistently. Streams, no, streams will be on second channel only from here on out. Right now, the second channel doesn't exist, so stream is going here. This I thought was very quick. So this part of the chapter, you guys I guess can't see clearly, but I'm looking at the far right side where it's them actually climbing the waterfall. I felt like that happened, like that should have been some double page spreads, I think, like just because if you go back and look at it, it looks like you can't really tell what's going on. It just seems quick. Like this is a big event that kind of separates the entire crew and gets Luffy by himself. So for it to just happen in like some off panels on the side, it felt odd for me at the time, especially when this entire chapter was devoted to just getting them into Wano. With that in mind, like I'm surprised Oda wasn't able to make like a little more space for the separation part. Yeah, I'm on 910 right. Okay, sorry guys. I'll try and announce frequently what chapters I'm on. I'm on chapter 910. Oh man. It feels not that long ago that I was reading this chapter. Okay, I'm now on 911. Is reading on Viz free? The last 3 chapters are. Oh man, I remember this color spread too. It was really not that long ago that we got this color spread. Time flies. This is something. Okay, you guys can't see this page. This is chapter 911. Early on in chapter 911, Luffy's kind of or not. He's recollecting basically what happened while they were going up the waterfall. So here was, yeah, okay. It helps to reread basically, but this was an this I feel like is a minor recurring issue in Wano. Wano, for the record, I'm not gonna like keep going back to like express the fact that I really like Wano. Okay, so just take it as a given that I really like Wano, but I'm not gonna like not express the small issues that I have with it. So one is that I feel like Oda is struggling more with this arc to use his 19 pages because he's got so much story. Like there's just so much stuff going on that it's harder for him, I feel, to fit everything he wants to in the span of 19 pages and end every chapter on kind of a strong note or a bit of a cliffhanger or whatever. So like last chapter 910, he felt like he had to end it with Luffy arriving in Wano, which I agree makes sense. But then if you look at the first couple pages of 911, first couple pages, like the second page of 911, it basically is a page that should have been in 909. It's basically Luffy remembering what happened when he got caught in the waterfall and how he got separated. But it had to get bumped to this page. So basically, what happened is that 910, we got kind of a hazy depiction of how they get separated, and it happens in a kind of awkward, choppy way. And then 911 kind of fills in the gap. Basically, oh, this is how the scene actually played out. But obviously, it would flow a lot better if this page had been managed to fit. You know what I'm saying? If he had managed to fit this page into that chapter, like this page should be in that chapter. And that's happened like a couple times in Wano that I remember, but I'm gonna see it more as I read along. And also I'm gonna make a note of that. How long will this video last? I don't know. Who's the traitor? Oh, I'm actually trying not to think about the traitor at all. Like, actually, like, every time I see on Twitter some speculation about the traitor or someone saying that they've solved the traitor, because actually that's like the main big running theory thing for people to speculate about right now, like, who's the traitor. So I've seen so many names thrown out, and I'm just trying to, like, just forget it, just forget it, just forget it. Because, like, I actually, for certain things, like, obviously I like making theories, right? I like making theories, but for certain things, like I kind of want to sacrifice the idea of like, okay, let me try and make a theory and crack it, you know, versus just like I would rather be surprised and really like there's certain plot twists that I feel like are more effective when you just don't think of like I want to be surprised basically. I want to be surprised, and it's harder to be surprised when you've gone through pretty much every character and like tried to evaluate. Okay, I think this guy. Once you start viewing everybody as a suspect, you know what I mean? If you start viewing the entire cast as suspects and make a strong case in your mind for why, you know, Kanjuro or Raizo or Shinobu or Carrot, why all these characters could be the traitor, once you've made a case for all of them in your head, then no matter what, once the suspect is revealed, then you're not going to be as surprised. So, um, fun fact about me, brief tangent. For me, one of my favorite things is I love mysteries, and like when it comes to mysteries, I really, really, really want to be surprised, especially whodunit sort of mysteries. So I don't know if anybody's read, for example, Agatha Christie, but I read a lot of Poirot books growing up. I like mystery books. I like not being able to solve it till the end. And for me, it's a disappointment if I can figure it out before the end. So I remember sometimes, you know, the best mystery books to me were ones where I got shocked at the end, for example. So, like try reading. Okay, if anybody likes mystery books, you could read like The Murder of Roger Ackroyd. That's a famous mystery book by her, and that has an ending that shocks pretty much. I would guess probably 90% of people who read it, myself included. That entire book would not have worked for me if I had guessed the end. Like it would ruin the book basically. So for certain things, I just don't want to know who it is. I want to feel that surprise, and I'm gonna feel disappointed if I can figure it out, or if I even have a strong suspicion of who it is, or if even I don't even want to like have you like if it turns out to be Carrot and I already thought of Carrot as a suspect, then I'm just gonna be it's not gonna feel the same. You know what I mean? So I would rather just not figure it out. So I'm trying not to think about it. So certain things I happily try and think about theories for, Other things I just don't. Things like identities, basically. Oh shit, was I making a note a second ago? Oh yeah, I was making a note. Oh, for people just tuning in, I'm on chapter 911. Wait, this guy? Oh no, never mind. This guy's not a headliner. Oh, this bit was cool. This was one of the first moments where we were first moments in the arc. So we were obviously coming off of Whole Cake Island here, right? This was one of the first. If you guys can see where we're at, I don't know if I'm showing that well. This is Luffy dodging that bullet from one of Kaido's henchmen that showed up. This was one of the first moments in the arc after Luffy having gotten Future Sight, where we were all uncertain at the time. Is this a depiction of Luffy having Future Sight, or is this just general observation hockey or whatever? And I think I would like to say that this is Future Sight just because Oda didn't usually have Luffy have moments like this early on, and because later on in this arc, Oda made more of a point of showing, especially during the prison scene, with Luffy training basically and telling Hyogoro the future moves that are going to happen. Oda made a point of, okay, Luffy's really freely using Future Sight. Same with I think Baba Nuki is the name of the prison guard. Same with him taking a shot at Luffy, but Luffy having already tied the trunk. So Oda has kind of made it more of a point to show, hey, Luffy's using Future Sight a lot more this arc. So I'd like to think that this was the first sort of unconfirmed use of it. When the chapter first came out, I thought it was weird that the henchman new ship arrived, but that was explained when the comment went by too fast. I'm streaming from my phone, so the comments kind of fade in and out a little bit. Tama. Still don't know what to think of Tama. Obviously like her as a character, I'm just saying I wonder what's her role in this arc? What's her role in the story going forward? Why did Oda want to include this character? I guess it's giving Luffy a more um, personal stake in the arc, and that he forms a connection with Tama. Luffy forms connections very easily, but he forms a connection with Tama very quickly, and it's easy for the reader to empathize with that connection because Tama's a cute little girl. So it's like we understand why Luffy feels strongly about this, about making sure she's okay. I like this. So like in the Jiminy's Box translations, manga stream translations, she's saying when she pulls stuff out, Otama also knew Ace, so that's the big thing that I wonder how it's gonna come. Like I haven't even begun to think how Ace's. Okay, it's not that I haven't begun to think about how Ace plot wise fits into this arc, but I do have a good idea of why Ace is being brought up again in this arc. Might make more sense. I don't know. It's almost too speculative. Like it's from a character perspective from Luffy and what I expect Luffy to grow into this arc, so I can understand why Ace is being, because Ace was the most important. Ace's death was the most important moment for Luffy's character in the story so far, right? And from how I expect Wano to go character wise for Luffy, I can see why Ace would be brought back up again this arc, because it is kind of bringing full circle. I think a storyline that like a, how do I say without getting too much into what I think? Basically, the storyline that I think. Okay, go watch my video on Kaido versus Killer. Go watch my video on Kaido versus Killer, real quick. Not real quick, or at some point. Okay, go watch. Oh no, not Kaido. Kaido killed Kid's crew. That's the name of the video. Go watch that video. If you don't have a lot of time, go watch it on like 1.5 speed or 1.75 speed, and then maybe it'll make more sense why I think it makes sense that Ace's character is being brought up again in this arc. Don't go watch it right now, but watch it at some point. What if Kaido kills Tama because of her ability? Kaido killing Tama, if that happened in One Piece, I don't know. I can't even imagine that. That's not, I don't think it's even in the realm of possible. Remember Kaido nearly injured Tama? No, Kaido did injure Tama pretty bad. Which is part of the reason that Luffy attacked Kaido, right? So at that moment I was like, I know that Kaido didn't actually kill Tama. But, I was saying, small thing I was saying was that in the Jiminy's Box translation, Tama, when she's pulling off the thing from her cheek, she says, Kibi Dango. Here she says, Ye Dumpling. I don't know, kind of cute, kind of different. I'm still a little unclear what Tama's mission is. I'll keep reading and see if I can figure it out. But early on, she was talking as though she's trying to recruit monsters to her side. But I don't remember. Maybe I'm just not remembering. Was she part of the Alliance's plans already? Or did she have some sort of a mission already? Or is she just doing this to do this? Watch out, Morge. The Viz nice guys might get you. Look, you can barely tell what the panels. You can barely tell what the panels are. Okay, there's no way that Viz is gonna crack down on this. I did label the stream Wano Readthrough, so I don't know. They might have a good case. What was the point? But you just don't make them. That's true. Okay, I feel bad about what I just said about Ace because sometimes very often I do say, oh, I have this thought, but I'm saving it for a video. That is true. That is my bad. I will say the first video I want to make is the Wano arc analysis, which is Acts 1 and 2. And in there, I might touch on Ace, but I might not. I will say very briefly that, like, okay, so if you watch my Kaido versus Killer video, I don't want to go through all those points. Kaido kills Kid's crew video, right? I don't want to go through all those points again. But a large part of it, I think, that this arc has led up to is basically, honestly, you could argue where it starts from, but I'd say from Enies Lobby, but really becoming blatantly clear during Thriller Bark, and then really the story was about this over the course of Sabaody and Marineford, which was Luffy's ability to protect those people that he cares about. and how being able to protect the people you care about is basically the mark of that's kind of the standard that he needs to be able to reach as a captain, which is, or not even as a captain but as a leader, and how like everything, like him as a captain, him as a leader, and him trying to become pirate king, all that kind of comes together in the same idea that like, well, you need to be strong enough to be able to protect the people you care about, very largely very specifically the people underneath you, right? Like your subordinates. Reread through to avoid some of the redundant questions. It's a yeah. Look, I would touch my phone right now to change it, but it's kind of on a stand, and that would kind of knock it off balance. So, just yeah, people jump in. Then can I change that? Let me see if I can change that without messing everything up. Oh, I'll finish my thought on Ace real quick. Um, yeah, point being that like a lot of everything that Luffy learned from any Slavi to Thriller Bark through Saboti through Marineford was that he needs to be strong enough as a leader to be able to protect his subordinates, right? And that there is forces in the New World, specifically Kaido, that he's not ready for, that are because he's not ready for, he's not going to be able to protect the people he cares about. And a lot of parallels were drawn with Roger over the course of Saboti and Marine, specifically Marineford, which is that Roger was a man who was always able to protect his crew no matter what happened, basically. He was able to turn into basically a sort of demonic figure when his crew came under fire. So that's all basically the type of person that Luffy needs to grow into if he's actually a king, right? Like the people beneath him need to be, he needs to be a shield sort of for them. And him losing Ace is really the biggest memory, or the biggest scar, literally, that he has of failing and just not being ready and not being anywhere close to as strong as he needed to be any sort of a, like the phrase that he says at the end of all that is basically Pirate King. How could I even have? I don't know, remember exactly what the phrase was, but basically like Pirate King. Who am I kidding? I'm still so weak, right? So that whole storyline was basically that realization. And Ace in for Luffy is always going to be that scar or that memory of the time that he was like proven to just not be strong enough to be able to protect the things that he cares about, right? So I think a large part of what Wano is going to be about is basically Luffy as a leader being strong enough to protect his subordinates. And that's going to become more clear in my Wano arc analysis. But I do think that's going to be a big theme for Luffy this arc. And I think that that theme hasn't even really begun to take shape yet because I don't think we're as far into Wano as most people think we are. But I do think it is starting to take shape. So with that being a big theme of this arc as I see it, it makes sense to me that now memories of Ace are going to start coming up in this arc because that is going to be very important for Luffy to look back on as basically his greatest point of failure, right? So Ace coming up again in this arc is important. I see it for Luffy's character, but I'm saying I don't know why it's important plot-wise or if it's important plot-wise. Like, did Ace actually do anything in Wano that was interesting? And sorry if that's like a rushed explanation too without like a lot of points, but um, again, I suggest going to look at the Kaido killed kids crew video to see a bit of what I'm talking about, and then thinking about why Ace might be important to bring back into this. Is Morge mainly One Piece channel? Yes. Why Ace might be important to bring back into Luffy's thoughts at this time, but it's going to be more clear in the Wano arc analysis video that I swear I will do and get out next week. All right, that's a promise and I always keep my promises. But that one's a real promise. I swear. We'll see. I'm gonna try really, really hard. That's a video I have to do, okay? Just take it as that. Wano arc analysis for sure. Tama analysis blend. I like that Luffy's being carried by Monkey D. Luffy. Luffy's always got a bit of a monkey theme about him. I like that he's being carried by a monkey in this panel. I don't know if you guys can see the panel. What happened to this monkey? Where is he now? Yeah, Tama using the ability to. Somebody's been watching their Joy Boy, probably watching some Joy Boy. Actually, no. I mean, that is a common thought that like Tama could use her abilities to tame the beasts of Wano, but I mean specifically for sure, so many Smile users, right? She could use it on them. When do I go out as? I'm still in frame, right? Yeah. So, no, I don't watch any, or I don't play any One Piece games. How many Wano volumes of Wano do I think there'll be? Watch tomorrow's video and you'll get an idea. Favorite troop member? Like the troop? I think he might jump around to the Reverie if it's still going on. If the Reverie's not going on, then I have no idea. Yeah, it's like a week after the Reverie ended, but like, um, what's interesting is that there was a cover story that had, oh, cover story had Beige arriving at, you know, the uh, the freaking red line, right? But the Reverie was still going on, even though it was a day after the Reverie was supposed to have stopped. So, we already know that the Reverie has been delayed a little bit. We don't know how, like, it's possible it's still going on, but we have no way of knowing. Like, it's one thing to be delayed one day, but like 2 weeks, who knows? Or like a full week. Do you feel like Oda is saving Eno for the final arc? I don't. God knows what Oda's doing with Eno. Like, it's NL is the only reason I feel like NL. Two reasons I think NL might make a comeback. One is because he's got such a strong fruit that I could, and we have the Blackbeard pirates who are hunting fruits. I could definitely see like NL's fruit being used by like it can just be picked up and given to like more interesting to a more interesting villain basically. So NL's got a fruit that like feels too strong to just be removed from the storyline. Like it has too much potential. Maybe that's a bad reason, but then the other thing is that as NL was leaving, he specifically said that like I'm going to Fairyverse or whatever. One day I'll be back. He says one day I'll be back. Like I swear I'll return or something along those lines. Then like I think it's very possible that he would. I don't know if Oda would just have him say that offhand. So I'm writing notes as I'm going along. I don't know how well you guys can see notes or whatever. I don't know how much I'll like if I'm writing a note. I don't know. Like maybe I will say what I wrote, or maybe I won't say what I wrote. But right now I'm spitballing. So like some stuff, for example. So like this is stuff that I don't know. I'll have to like think about it more and see more examples to think if this is like actually something that's being like you have to be able to tell it's when you're just like drawing something from nothing and like imagining a connection or like a thematic connection, or if it's an idea that the author is like reiterating multiple times. So like one thing definitely in Wano is oh shit, oh no, connect back, fuck, no, god damn it, and I had such a nice setup too. Let's see what's going on. Probably the projector overheated. Oh, all right. We're gonna give it a second to cool down, then I'll plug it back in. Um, he black below the waist. All right, I'll take that as a compliment. Um, I'm Indian, for the record. Um, I have a mod in here. Yeah, I can just do some questions, answers, talk for a little bit, and then I'll have the projector back on, and then we'll have a great setup going again. So, the thought that I was on was just something. What are all the who are my goddamn commenters right now? I wish I could know all the stuff. Yeah, you guys are wilding. Anyway, the lots of stuff going on right now. I can't figure out who to answer. But the thought that I was on was basically so like Tama. One of her things was that she was talking about how like she's been the page that I was on, which was chapter 911. Um, it was stressing basically how like Tama, very specifically, it's saying like young girl like Tama, she could be in a safer place right now, but she chooses to wait here instead. She's been waiting for years for a man who promised he would come back to her, a pirate by the name of Ace, right? So I do feel like in general, beyond this point, I do feel like a lot of one of the big themes that's been going on through this arc has been the idea that I guess you could say faith in the return of your comrades, faith that faith in your comrades essentially, right? So like that is something we saw like that applies to all the scabbards, of course. So from what Maru was telling the people who ran off to try and take on Kaido, Kawamatsu telling Onimaru, or whatever, that like we have to believe that the battle's not over, people are coming back. Obviously Komurosaki and Komurosaki believing that 20 years from now her brother would return, Yukimaru believing in his master's return. A lot of people who are waiting for a return, right? Return of people who had promised that they would come back, and they're relying on those people, right? And they're living by those people's, like they're living their lives assuming that those people are going to be coming back, and everything they're doing is basically under the belief that those people will come back. So that's why Kawamatsu spent so much time collecting swords. Why Yukimaru spent so much time collecting swords for Kawamatsu. Why Maru spent time like making sure that the ships were repaired, making sure he had blueprints, all that sort of thing, right? I'd have to think a little more for more examples, basically. But I wonder if that plays in a little bit with us getting a little bit of a glimpse of that, with us being told from the start that Tama, even though Tama could be in a much safer spot, she's been waiting here for the last several years, working on specifically working on becoming a bewitching kunoichi, right? That's her goal. That's what she's kind of devoted her life to because she's waiting for Ace, and she believes that Ace is going to return. So it kind of plays into that little running theme throughout this arc. So that's something I hadn't noticed before, but now that I think about it, I do think it does fit. And now that I'm talking about it, I do think it does fit. So I'm glad I put it in my notes. So that's something to think about. But of course, the tragedy here is that whereas Gyukimaru and Kawamatsu, Shutenmaru, Shinobu, all these people's their faith was correct. Komurasaki, their faith was correct that the people they were counting on did actually end up coming back. Poor Tama, who is a little girl, so it's the saddest actually. She doesn't know that Ace actually died and is never coming back. But of course, she gets Luffy in his stead, so bit of a win there. How did it feel to correctly pick Big Mom and Wano? That felt great. That was easily, the best prediction that I've ever had. But I was very confident about that too, to be honest. Like, the same way I'm very confident that Elbaf will be Shanks' arc, I'm very confident that. Like, the theories that I spend a lot of time on, I spend a lot of time on them because there's a lot of evidence towards them, I feel. So, that's why I felt very certain that that was the way it was going to turn out. So I was very happy to see that it did turn out that way, that Big Mom was going to Wano, but like I didn't feel like surprised that that theory turned out to be correct. It was more like, okay, phew, okay, that theory, I'm not crazy. That theory was correct. You know what I mean? All right, I'm gonna try turning on the projector again. No way it ends on in 5 years. Oh, for sure. I don't think so. Oh man. Alright. So we're back. Everything's looking good. Reread can continue. Are more just thoughts during this reread really accurate, or is he just projecting? Potential pizza, good to talk to you. Those are my thoughts. Like, these are thoughts as I'm rereading. These aren't going to be I have to read the full thing to be like, okay, what I thought here makes sense. So I'm just putting everything down in notes at the moment, and then it's going to come together later on. But obviously, I've had notes in the past. Oh, just a pun on the fact they're using a projector. All right. God damn it. Went over my head. All right. Well, now I feel dumb. We're going to move on. Good joke, potential pizza. Made me look like an idiot. Are you in a dungeon? No, this is my office. If it looks like a dungeon, I don't know what that says about where I work. I mean, I could get this place repainted, but that would be expensive. Or maybe it wouldn't. Maybe it would just be me doing it. Me and, or one of us, basically. You say you're waiting for Ace, you mean podcast CPAs. Is that Tom? So this is actually pretty cool then. If you look at this, sorry, I noticed that you guys, your guys' view of this is like a little different than my view of it, just based on where I'm scrolling down to. But so, if you think about it, like imagine that Tama's been waiting the same way that the Scabbards have been waiting. Scabbards plus like the Komurasaki, Shinobu, Otsuru, etc. have been waiting in Wano for their people to come back. Tama obviously had to wait for less time, but Tama is also a little girl, so it's still kind of sad. So then this panel, if Luffy just basically bluntly saying, well, Ace is dead, Now I feel a little, you know, at the time I didn't feel as much, but now in context of like what this entire arc is about and like how these people of Wano kind of live their lives with such strong belief and strong faith in the return of their comrades, um, that does have a little more significance. Actually, now I'm looking at it, Luffy's kind of a dick. It's no way to tell a little girl that her big brother figure died. Dritz is here, but I don't even know what Dritz is talking about right now. I must have missed something. Yes, I do remember Luffy was traumatized by it. Do I watch the anime? I've seen clips of the anime nowadays, cause um, I've seen clips on YouTube of the anime and it looks really promising. I'm looking forward to personally, if you guys have seen that video that I put out a while ago talking about how I believe that the Wano anime is going to be an improvement over past anime arcs, I have gotten the sense from people's feedback that I see on Reddit and YouTube comments and such, and on Twitter that the Wano anime is much better in quality, possibly even in pacing. From the clips I've seen, even in pacing, in action, animation, general visual feel, just better across the board. So I'm actually very much looking forward to, for the first time, going back through and seeing the, um, yeah, seeing the anime. Dritz, you want to do Wano Report next week? You free on Sunday next week? Not this Sunday, next Sunday. Hello? Alright, cool, cool. We'll pencil you in. We're gonna do. I'll message you on Twitter basically. Can't see right now because I'm doing. Can't talk right now. I'm doing this reread, so I'm not gonna see most of the comments. But yeah, I'll message you on Twitter. Oh man, I can't look at Hitetsu and not think about like blackface. There's no way this is actually Hitetsu's actual. Like, is he wearing a mask or is it blackface or is this somehow his actual color? Because I definitely don't think it's his actual color. Finally ended. I don't think it's a mask though. No, it is clearly a mask. It'd be funnier if it's not a mask. Now I'm reading I'm a Blacksmith of Katanas, and I too have been waiting for someone for a very long time. There you go. That's exactly what I'm talking about. Everybody's been waiting for people for a very long time. Puatama is the only one who doesn't actually get to meet her guy. I want to know how canon the Ace novels are because, like, I'm just wondering timeline wise, what did Ace do right out of getting into the Grand Line? Like, how long was it before he ran into Whitebeard? I thought, based on what little I'd read of the Ace novels, maybe somebody can fill me in. After reading a bit of the summaries of the Ace novels, I thought that Ace fought Jinbei pretty soon after getting into the New World. But Wano is a little deep in the New World, so I'm wondering just how far into Wano he got before, or how far in the New World he got before running into Whitebeard. I really like reading this early part of Wano when it was simpler, uh, kind of easy breezy adventure mode, new land, new environment. Stakes are still low, so everyone's in a good mood. Well, Luffy's in a good mood. Also very focused, so not jumping around as much. Okay, his father made. This is something I'm gonna have to catch up on. So, Hitetsu's father made Nidai Kitetsu. But didn't Hitetsu say in the last chapter that he himself made Sandai Kitetsu? Or am I wrong about that? Yeah. Okay, thanks. So we're all gonna assume, obviously, that or no, isn't it confirmed that shit? I don't even remember the name of the top one. Like the best Kitetsu sword, I mean. Oh man, some stuff in Wano is just cool. Them riding through the forest, this bamboo forest, on this like Japanese mythical creature dog. It's cool stuff. What scene was really cool in the anime? Thoughts on Law performing the Eternal Youth? I do think that Law. The thing is, like the, I think Law sacrifices himself for Luffy because to me that just makes the most sense for Law's character arc. It just fits too well. The only thing is, I can't imagine Luffy having eternal life. You know what I mean? Like that just doesn't fit. Like Luffy walking around as an immortal doesn't make sense to me. So, possibilities in my head include maybe Kaido has had the immortality surgery done to him, which is why he can't die. In which case, maybe Law's sacrifice is basically maybe he sacrifices himself performing that operation, but to undo Kaido's immortality, which makes it so that he can be killed or defeated or whatever. So that's an option. Maybe immortality. It's not like literally eternal life, but like you get a second chance at life or something like that. Like you get pulled back from the brink of death, something along those lines. So it's not literally. I imagine Law sacrificing himself for Luffy. The two things that I can't reconcile are basically I imagine Law sacrificing himself for Luffy, but I can't imagine Luffy having eternal life. You know what I mean? So let's see how that problem solves itself. We'll see where that goes. Do you think we'll? I'm sorry, I missed. Some of these are going, yeah, it's a Chekhov's gun. It's like the most classic, not the most classic, but like it's a clear cut example of a Chekhov's gun. That's just like it doesn't get any more clear than that, in my opinion. More like agelessness than invincibility. I don't even know if like Luffy with agelessness makes sense. So we'll see. Oh, I very much like this panel when they first come across, the Wano wasteland. What am I writing? No, just a comment. So I just read that page where Tama, you know, she's remembering her experience with Ace and her bond with Ace. Basically, Ace saying that next time that she comes along, or next time that they come back, they're gonna take her along as long as she's become a bewitching kunoichi or whatever. Basically, they make a promise. All right. There's a panel here that says, it's a promise. I don't know if you guys can see it. It's over here. Or sorry, it's over here. But she says it's a promise or whatever. And it's just interesting that like One Piece, one of the big things in One Piece is that, when characters make this sort of special promise, like for example, Brook and Laboon, right? Like Laboon's crew, that crew left, but they promised that they would return. And one of Brook's big things is that even death can't stop that promise, right? Like no matter what, Brook is going to come back to see Laboon. Luffy and Shanks. That's how the entire series started, with Luffy getting the hat from Shanks, promising that one day they'd meet as equals. Zoro's promise, about never losing again till he finds Mihawk and beats him, and also Zoro's promise to Kuina, which was similar. So, I mean, I'm not gonna go through everything, but just off the top of my head, like promises in One Piece are pretty special, right? Like when you make a promise, it's supposed to be okay. So we know that thing's gonna happen or whatever. But it's just interesting to see that, with Tama and Ace, it does this. Obviously, we didn't get to see this happen in real time in the course of the story, but it does seem like Tama made this special promise with Ace that Ace would return, and that I think is a very rare example of the series where Luffy shows up and just tells her, "Hey, that's not happening because well, Ace died. Ace died, and you didn't know anything about it, but that's happened, and that your promise is never coming true or whatever." So it's just interesting. You think Kaido's favorite to Big Mom is related to Odin's flashback? I don't know if that'd be. I'm sure it's related to the Rocks flashback whenever they get that, but I don't know about the Odin flashback. Opinion on unexplained powers outside of already established. Oh, your comment faded. I'm sorry. On the phone, comments fade really fast for me. So, if it's a long comment, there's a chance I don't see it. Opinion on unexplained powers outside of already established abilities, i.e., Sanji's fire or Brook's ice. Personally, not a fan of those. Um, okay, so those have just become such the norm in the series. I don't even think about them anymore. So maybe that's not the best answer, but like I don't mind them at this point. It'd be something like, okay, if Sanji could suddenly like shoot, I don't know, like shoot ice out of his legs, I'd feel weird about that. But like the fire thing, kind of, it's like a weird One Piece cartoon world sort of logic where like Sanji's always been a very fiery character, so like it makes sense to a degree that like his passion is so fire like in the ridiculous sense of it that his passion is so fiery that like look when he spins around a lot the friction like there's a scientific definition or explanation which is like friction so he's spinning around so much that his leg is heating up and now he's just gotten so good at this ability that he can like do it without spinning around so it's kind of ridiculous but it's just like a like one step further from an already ridiculous premise, which is like you can spin around so fast your leg sets on fire, and then you can kick people with it or whatever. And then Brooks, you can make sense of with taking his Devil Fruit ability into account, which is like maybe the Soul Fruit is just it has inherently very cold qualities because of its connection to death, basically. So you can logic your way into believing either of those things, but then you've got something like Luffy's Red Hot. Okay, so like generally in my mind, like fire-based abilities, you can always explain it as just like friction or something like that. So I kind of let that slide. Ice is weirder, but like Brooks the only example of like randomly being able to produce ice, and that makes sense with his Devil Fruit ability, if you know what I mean. So that's all it is. Like Zoro could also produce fire when he like took down Ryuma, for example. So that's it. Weeble became One Piece's version of Majin Buu from DBZ. Then will he be an incredible threat to the Straw Hats? Yes. Yes, that makes sense. Wait, I didn't realize this when I was first reading. Is this right? I mean, I'm just gonna. This is why I'm rereading the arc to recollect information. But like, so here, what I'm seeing is that Luffy's spotting some mine in the distance, saying there's a factory. Tana's confirming there's a mine and a weapons factory and all that, and it's a place full of Kaido's followers. Is this them seeing in the distance Udon? Or is this them? Is this just also another region in? This is like another spot in Kuri that also happens to have a mine and factory and stuff. It's just another factory, you guys think? Can we confirm what Greenstone Greenstone believes? You guys think it's just another factory? Udon is too far. Wano is small. Wano is big, but it's also weirdly smaller than you'd think. Do I think it was smart of Oda to establish a power cap? Oda didn't establish a power cap, but he gave a clear idea of like where the ceiling is around. So like, I love that in that it's kind of like Mihawk didn't give us like a power cap exactly because Mihawk's obviously not the strongest character in the series. Where he lies, I think definitely top 10 for sure. Whether he's like top 5 or whatever is your guys' discussion. I think top 10 personally. But Mihawk is clearly towards the top, right? But what's cool is that, like with Mihawk, it establishes that there is a power cap, but it doesn't really establish what that is because Mihawk did so little, right? Like the biggest thing he did was cut a ship in half, but obviously he can do so much more than that. But he established a power cap by showing how little it took, like literally a toy knife, to basically defeat Luffy or a Zoro or whatever. So that established that there is a ceiling and that the ceiling is so high that we can't actually tell what the ceiling is. We can just all we know is that like 1% of the ceiling is like way stronger than our main characters, if that makes sense. Again, I like the official translation's dialogue. I feel like it smooths it over, or it just sounds more natural, a little less like on the nose, if you know what I mean. Like, Luffy's saying, like, I remember in the Jiminy's Box translation, Luffy was not happy to hear that, the bad guys or whatever, Kaido's men they get all the food and water, and everybody else doesn't get any or whatever. So I remember Luffy was really upset to hear that. But I just remember his comment on that in the official translation. It just sounded like a little forced. Whereas here, it's more of an offhand comment. It's just like it. It's hard to say. It's just like less blunt dialogue. Here he's saying, if the bad guys have all the food and water, that's nice and convenient. To me, that's less blunt than how it was phrased in the official translation. I do think reading everything through with you know, actual translations, it just makes the story sound a lot better overall. Oh, god damn it. I forgot I'm reading the fucking official translation. So I gotta see Zoro get called Zolo for the rest of this. This is so stupid. Who the hell is Zolo? This actually really irritates me. This is the most affectionate I've ever seen Luffy and Zoro act towards each other. Their little reunion here. Yeah, Zolo Juro. You know what's funny is that so when the Straw Hats reunited from the time skip, right? Um, this is good awareness by Oda, I think. When the Straw Hats reunited from the time skip, um, we had seen all the Straw Hats recently. In that, like right before the time skip, we get cutaways to all the Straw Hats. We get to see them and everything like that, and then obviously they reunite, and that all happens like in the span of a few uh, it's just back to it. Like we're seeing, Zoro, Nami, Usopp, Sanji, etc. We're seeing the whole crew, and then we're seeing them all back together and such. So their reunion at Saboti, obviously, like they're all very happy to see each other, but they're not like hugging and grabbing each other and stuff like that. Because like if you compare that, for example, to like okay, so when Luffy reunited, when the crew reunited at Zou, for example, then everybody was like Usopp was hugging Chopper, Luffy was hugging Nami, stuff like that. Here, Luffy hasn't seen Zoro in a while. He's hugging Zoro, so it feels weird if you think about it kind of like logically, because it's like, well, logically, um, the time skip was a much bigger gap. The time skip was a 2 year gap where they didn't see each other. Whereas here, like Luffy doesn't see Nami for like a few days, and then upon the reunion, like Nami's like hugging him, Usopp's hugging Chopper. Luffy doesn't see Zoro for like a week, and now he's hugging Zoro. But I think Oda was intelligent in the way that he did this, and that it's more like more so awareness of how the reader is feeling, because for the reader, like with the time skip reunion, we had been seeing these characters, right? Like we saw all of them and how they're setting up with their training and stuff. So it didn't feel like we'd been missing them for a long time. Whereas in this case, like we legitimately did not see Nami, Chopper, Brook, and Sanji for like 80 chapters in Dressrosa. So Oda is kind of playing into the reader's emotions at seeing those characters again when he has Luffy and company reunite with them like in a bit of more emotional way. Oda is kind of playing into the reader's feelings about seeing Zoro again by having Luffy like actually hug him here, because we haven't seen Zoro in like 80 chapters. So it's more so awareness of like it's not so much the realisticness of like how like the length of time that they've been separated, but it's more so like, look, I know the reader is way more happy to see this character after all this time at this point, so I'm gonna make that like I'm gonna express that through how the characters interact with each other. You know what I mean? Official translator for One Piece is a big fan, a good dude. Yeah, that dude actually saved One Piece translations because old Viz translations are terrible. I think his name is something Paul. I forget. Another thing, like a little stuff, like I like when Oda has okay. So for example, Luffy's really it's hard to imagine like okay, if Luffy and Zoro are just like hanging out, what would they talk about, right? Like, it's hard to imagine them like that. But like some small thing like this, like they're in their reunion, like Oda writes the scene in a way that it feels natural that these two characters who are honestly like uh like personality, they're very similar in certain regards, but also not similar in other. Like Zoro is very very stern, serious character in most regards, and Luffy's of course Luffy or whatever. But like Oda writes the scene in a way that um they have something very similar that like they're on the same wavelength about. So like here they're both just being like it's their dumbass side, which is basically their dumbass and sort of not just stupid, but their sort of carefree side because Luffy and Zoro are both usually very unconcerned about like general problems and threats and stuff, and they take everything in stride. So it's just playing off of that, and that like they're just talking very casually about like how the meat and the water and everything here is poison, but it's like not really a big deal for them. But they're both like just on the same wavelength about that, and they both just seem like to be a very natural duo in that regard, even though they're also very different in many ways. They talked about how they came to the current position. Do I think each member of the Strats will get a fight this arc? Yep. An IQ of 120. Is that high? I don't. I feel like that's what's like a high IQ. I don't know if that was a compliment or if this guy's making fun of me. What's like the average IQ? 100 is average. All right, I'll take 120. Man, I remember these chapters. This is so weird. Remembering see like Wano was like these chapters are recent enough that I remember like somewhat the emotion seeing it. Like it's not like I was like going crazy over like Hawkins showing up, but I remember feeling happy seeing Luffy and Zoro reunited, and then like the topper with the cherry on top, I guess, was Hawkins showing up. And I love Hawkins' elk thing. I'm reading so slow. I normally don't read this slow. I'm slowing down because you guys putting me on tangents. Oh, I remember this moment. Hawkins is asking if they know who controls these seas. Luffy's like, it's Kaido, and I'm here to whoop his ass. And then Zoro's like, oh, they're not supposed to hear about that. So Luffy's like, just kidding. I don't know who. Again, right here, by the way, everyone. Hawkins says that the chances of you guys being alive 1 month from now is 19%. It's 1 month. In my mind, that's the timeline we're working with. Otherwise, like, why not just, like, why say 1 month? I don't know. Maybe I'm reading too much into that, but I do, like, along with all the other reasons I have for why I don't think that the arc's about to end right now, I just think it makes more sense that, like, the Fire Festival isn't the end of it all. Fun fact. No, shit, I'm not going to share this fun fact. It's about another series. I was going to make a reference to another series that I'm currently watching, but if I do, then I know some of you fuckers are going to spoil it for me, so I'm not going to tell you what I was thinking of just now. Hawkins' ability is so cool. Kid is my favorite supernova in Wano, aside from obviously Straw Hat supernovas. But Hawkins is low key my favorite supernova. Like he's the supernova that I want to see. No, Kid's my favorite. It's just like I want to see Hawkins be uh more prominent. You know what I mean? I think he's. I want to see him draw his favorite cards. For example, if you play a card game, you know how frustrating it can be when you don't draw your favorite cards. So you know what? Like, I know he lost a law, but you know RNG can be like that. I wonder what would have happened if he'd drawn his favorite, he's drawn his the best card in his deck. You know. Some of his cards are so bad. His Hawkins' ability is hilarious because it's just like it requires so much fodder to be effective, so much fodder for it to be effective, right? Like you need a lot of people to take a lot of hits for you, and then on top of that, what I just read is the first card that he drew was the Fool reversed, which is the card of infighting. So immediately his crew just starts attacking each other. It's like half of the things that he does and half of his abilities are geared towards his crewmates just taking hits. Edward Hawkins is just like, fuck, well, I guess I'd better draw a better card. One of his crew members just died probably because of that, and doesn't really mind. For the record, I really hate the idea of Hawkins drawing a card that will enhance Luffy's power beyond its limits. I interpret Hawkins' statement, especially in the official translation, as something along the lines of like, this card will help him increase his power beyond its natural limits. You know what I mean? Yeah, I'm sure it's not his actual crew. It's just funny to me. It's like, it's just like so much of his power is geared towards like not only is his ability naturally using other people as bodies, but like some of his cards just make his crew members fight each other, or his subordinates fight each other. Again, I don't know if it's his crew or Kaido's crew. I'm gonna sue Kaido's crew. Also, his abilities are so limited based on this card stuff because like so he was happy, for example, that the drawing the Hierophant reversed Law best supernova. I'll give you a comment about Law in a second. Isn't your favorite supernova Law? I'll tell you guys about Law in a second. I'm just saying it's funny that for Hawkins, like he drew the Hierophant reversed and he's happy. He's like, that's a good card because it allows me to pursue them. It's the card of pursuit. But does that mean that like his ability feels so constricting, constricted? It feels so limited in a way in that basically like just to pursue like most people can pursue their enemies without needing to draw a special card to do it. But for Hawkins, just the ability to chase after the people he wants to chase after, you need a card for that. I don't know. It's an interest. I just assume that the upside of his ability is really strong if it's so RNG based. You know what I mean? Thoughts on Law? Okay, quick tangent on Law. This fight, by the way, they animated really well. The fight I'm looking at right now, really more of a skirmish, but I think they animated it really well without really like damaging like either Zoro or Hawkins' reputation. You know what I mean? Like sometimes the anime does wild stuff, like with Batman. If you guys have seen the anime stuff with Batman recently, that's just crazy. Like that type of thing, like makes me like when I say, "Oh, I'm excited to go see Wano in the anime." That type of thing reminds me of why like I dropped the anime in the first place, if you know what I mean. Um, but yeah, I think the anime did a great job with this fight personally. Oh yeah, my thoughts on Law real quick. So Law you would think is my favorite supernova because of like my icon and everything like that. I picked Law because to be my icon and everything because I felt like Law fit the vibe that I wanted to give the channel. So if I'm gonna represent my channel with a certain character, then like Law fits. So like uh yeah, it just fits the vibe of my channel. That's why I picked Law. It's not because Law is my personal favorite character. So sorry to burst any Law fans' bubbles out there if you think that my favorite character is Law. It is really not. Um, the reason I personally don't actually like Law's character that much, even if that's a surprise to a lot of you, is because I'm biased from my initial feelings towards him, which weren't even so much about his character, but what I wanted from the story at that point in time. So I was a week to week reader during Marine Ford. Loved Marine Ford. If you're a week to week reader from Marine Ford, you know how you felt at the end of it all, which was basically like, wow, I just read one of the best things ever. And on top of that, I'm very like, it was a great tragedy, but the point is that like it felt like the Straw Hats are gonna come back big from this tragedy, and like after seeing them fall so hard and fall so short against the level of the world, and then finding out that they're gonna get this like specialized elite training from like these special islands and like taking 2 years and with special trainers and everything, like it felt like okay, they took this really hard loss, like they took on the world and they lost. Now they're going to spend 2 years building their skills, and all you want to see at the end, like coming out of the time skip, all you wanted to see, it was just so exciting just thinking about like what can they do now, what are they going to do now, there's so much potential right here. I want to see them go all out right away. I want to see them taking on the big dogs of the new world right away. Like I want to see them charge into the world like much stronger, much more prepared, and actually ready to succeed where they had failed during Saboti and Marine Ford and everything like that, right? So that was the sense that I had coming out of it. I just wanted to see the Straw Hats just like I wanted to see the Straw Hats. I wanted to see what they could do, right? I wanted the spotlight to really be like um, on them taking on the big challenges of the new world. So first we had Fishman Island, which was really a tease, and now looking back at it, I understand more about why Fishman Island was the way it was and why it was uh, like it was cool in that at the very least at the end we got to see the Straw Hats go off, um, like basically show a fraction of their abilities, and even that was impressive and everything. So that only served to get you hyped more. I'm saying purely in the terms of like what I wanted to see the Straw Hats do, basically, right? So that served to get you hyped more because it was basically like okay, that was a warm up. Like Zoro literally talks about it as though it's a warm up. So coming out of all that, I really wanted to see um, more of what they can do and more of them taking on the big threats. But then we get to Punk Hazard, and Law comes into the picture. And at first, I thought it was cool that Law's in the picture. But the thing is, at a point in the story where I was really, really interested, like I really, really had been excited ever since Marine Ford and the Straw Hats like starting their training to see them basically go all out and like um, run through the new world and everything like that. The story really suddenly swung over to kind of be dominated by this character, this new character who wasn't a Straw Hat, and unlike previous story arcs where um, I'd say previous story arcs where we have significant side characters and everything. This character really dominated the story. Like like I would go so far as to say that it felt like he was the main character over Luffy for Punk Hazard and Dressrosa. Like it felt as though the story really went through him, and he was the driving force of the story. And obviously, by the end of Dressrosa, it had decisively, definitively swung back towards Luffy being, because it always does, Luffy being the star of the show. It's his story. He's the one coming out of this like with the big triumph and having proven himself and everything. Like it swung back towards being Luffy's story and him basically leading the story and driving the story from then on, right? But for the longest time, from Punk Hazard through Dressrosa, it was the Law story, and it felt more like Law and the Straw Hats than the Straw Hats plus Law, if you know what I mean. Like it felt more like Law and the Straw Hats to me, and that's not what I was interested in seeing personally. Like I didn't want to see an outside character to come in and kind of just dominate the story. That's not what I was looking for at the time. So I kind of just didn't take a great liking to Law at that point in time, just because of, not even because of his character, but because of the fact that his character was um, taking over so much of the narrative when I didn't want to see that at that time. So you know what I mean? So I can't have like a fair evaluation of his narrative. Like if I were to go back and reread the story now, um, when I'm not as like eager to see more of the Straw Hats or whatever because we've been seeing them, then I might have a different opinion of him if I'm just seeing him in a neutral light. But at the time, it was like, why is Law getting to beat Virgo? Why is Law getting to like have this amazing fight with Doflamingo and Fujitora? Like, why is it all Law? Like Luffy's stuck fighting like chumps in the Coliseum, and Law's out here fighting Doflamingo and Fujitora, and it just feels like he's getting all the good stuff, basically. You know what I mean? So that was my feeling at the time. It has changed now. I've mellowed out about Law now. Now it feels more like I think Law should be more involved in the storyline. So, things change, obviously. Tsuru's design is cool. I forgot. Now with what we know about Okiku, this whole Urashima plotline is actually a lot funnier. Dressrosa's length, uh, it's just rereading the arc and then seeing how you feel about the length. Even though you hate the idea of giving Luffy a power up from Hawkins, what do you think about gaining power? Um, I hate that idea as well. Oh, the question I'm responding to is how I feel about Luffy gaining a power up from Moria in the form of shadows. I hate that idea as well. I just don't think it fits. It's kind of like a meaningless. It's just meaningless if you know what I mean. Like it's a large storyline that basically ends with, like, it tells us nothing. It doesn't give us a sort of concept. Like there's no sort of real growth shown there. It's kind of just a why. You know what I mean? Like Luffy getting that power up in Thriller Bark, for example, was a little different because it was coming off of an arc. Like Thriller Bark was almost a bit of a filler arc, like filler bark, haha. Uh, Thriller Bark was almost more of a filler arc. Like it had important stuff, obviously, and important concepts introduced, a lot of foreshadowing, some setup, and everything like that. But it wasn't like Enies Lobby was clearly like the major arc, right? Like Enies Lobby was like the major storyline that Oda had written prior to that. And Thriller Bark was kind of the little bridge or little break between Enies Lobby and Marineford. So Luffy kind of like after Luffy having you know ended that major storyline of Enies Lobby, having like grown significantly and pulling off this amazing win himself, it was kind of fine that like in that break arc he manages to take on like he gets some help against Oars, but then again, very importantly, Luffy does still beat Moria by himself. So like the Oars thing, it's not even like even there, it's not like Luffy ever won the final battle against the boss by getting some sort of power boost from outside or something like that. Like that's never happened. Like it happened against Oars, but Oars is like a weird exception. In general, like to show Luffy's growth, Oda has always had Luffy have to like earn his improvement himself. Like getting it from more, it's just so. Same with Hawkins, same with the Shadows. It just doesn't. It's like it's. There's no real way to like explain how, like, hollow that would feel. Do you know what I mean? It's just so weird seeing Okiku like this, knowing how we know she is now. I'm on chapter 914 for people just dropping in. Oh, this is Bellamy's part of the cover story. This was cool. The flip side of official translations versus like a Jiminy's box is I think that Jiminy's box keeps like a lot of Japaneseisms, if you know what I mean. Like I specifically remember like when Tama got better, she had a specific way of saying it that I could tell was sort of like a like a Japanese character kind of a quirky Japanese way of expressing it, I suppose. Whereas here in the official translation, it's a more straightforward, hey, I'm all better now, wow, I really appreciate it. So there's certain things that just don't translate over, I guess. You reading the whole arc? Look, at the rate I'm going, I'm realizing there's no chance I read the whole arc, and I'm super duper tired from the week and work in general, so I'm probably gonna call it, I don't know, in the next hour, basically. But we'll see how far I get, and then I'll just keep reading tomorrow or whatever. But I'm basically, and I feel like I want to keep interacting with the chat, so um, I can't read as I want to read, you know. But the important stuff is mostly Act 2 in my mind. Hope we'll reach Batman. Oh shit, we're definitely gonna reach Batman. We'll reach Batman in like this chapter, I'm pretty sure. Oh, my computer's not charging. I forgot how tall Okiku was. I do think that Kid will fight a Yonko. I just don't think he's gonna win like Luffy. Um, I don't think that Kid is gonna be side by side with Luffy all the way through. I just think he's gonna be close. You know what I mean? Like in terms of level. So if Luffy's clear rivals from the worst generation are Blackbeard, who's a little ahead of, not a little, who's clearly ahead of him. Blackbeard's an established Yonko. Then I feel like Kid's basically um, the closest after Luffy, if you know what I mean. So Blackbeard's ahead, then Luffy, then Kid, etc. Um, yeah, that's just the feeling I have. But like we know so little, we have such little concept of Oda's plan for Kid at the moment that it's just hard to say. So I do think that Kid will, I could see Kid trying to 1v1 Kaido at some point and probably doing a good fight. But it's just that Luffy, when he fights him in the end, is gonna win. You know what I mean? Like Vegeta took a shot at Frieza first and lost, but he put up a good fight, and Goku fought Frieza and won, that sort of thing. Or something very similar to the Law Doflamingo Luffy Doflamingo situation. I could very much see something along those lines. Like maybe it is just Luffy and Kid versus Kaido because they have the most personal grudge out of the supernovas against them. It feels like, or at least strongest drive to take him out. So maybe it's Luffy and Kid versus Kaido at first together, like maybe very much like a mirror of the Dressrosa situation. Then it turns into just Kid versus Kaido, and then it turns into Luffy versus Kaido. Like Kid maybe gets a good hit in or whatever, but that's about it. Then it turns into Luffy versus Kaido, and Luffy wins. Of course, I still think that the Straw Hats are going to fight Kaido at some point because that just fits to me in terms of what I think Luffy needs to do this arc, which is protect his crew. Tama being cute. Who do you believe is the traitor? I mentioned this earlier in the stream, so sorry if you didn't catch that. I'm trying not to think about who the traitor is, period, because certain things I don't like making theories on. Like, when it comes down to whodunits, I really like being surprised personally. So I'm actually actively trying to shut my brain off when it comes to thinking about the traitor. I just want to be surprised. Because as soon as you start suspecting everybody, like, once everybody becomes a suspect, then if it's somebody you previously suspected at any point, even if it's not your number one choice, then it's just not as much of a surprise, you know? Is YouTube your full time job? No, not at all. how how bad would I be at my full time job if like my only job is to make YouTube videos and I haven't put out one YouTube video in like 2 months? Good lord, like what type of a full time job would that be? Yes. Has your main job been making you some fat cash? It has been making me cash. That is getting fatter. But it's not fat cash, if you know what I mean. But it's a process. Like, things take time. Like, it's hard to explain. If you're doing a small business, like, there's lots of problems that come up along the way that you don't realize. So, like, progress can happen slower and setbacks can happen more often than you realize. But, like, right now, I'm in a good spot, basically. Or, I'm in a good spot that should lead to a better spot, if you know what I mean. I'm living kind of like thriftily at the moment, though. Sokka's moving too quickly. I feel like Luffy's gonna get stomped again. It's not like Oda. Yeah, I think Luffy's gonna get stomped again for sure at Fire Festival. I don't think the Fire Festival ends in success. How many arcs do you think are left in Wano? I feel like there may only be 3 or 4. I mean, no, Kabuki plays say there's 5, so I'm going on 5. What do I do, bro? I do. I mean, it's a couple things at this. It's marketing, but it's expanded a little bit. So it's also general stuff like website creation, um, video content creation, stuff like that. So not just exclusively marketing, but the main thing is we create marketing funnels for We're a lead generation company in a nutshell. But we've expanded and added new stuff as we've gone along. And we started hiring some people. We have interns now, which is pretty cool. Or we had one for the summer and we're getting new ones for the fall. Summer we had one kid out of high school and that went pretty well. So for the fall we're getting some kids out of college nearby. I'm not gonna say where I'm near, but it's cool. It's cool having an intern. Because I was an intern when I was younger, in high school, for example. So it's cool just being on the other side and like, you know, yeah, just feeling like you have employees basically. I am 23, about to be 24 in October. What do I think of Stampede? I haven't seen Stampede yet. Do I ever want to create and tell a story? For sure. My main thing is I want to be a film director at one point, or in the future. But this is partly to help fund me being able to do that, if you know what I mean. Not this as in YouTube. This is in doing my own business. Like I want to start indie, and if you're starting indie, then you work basically with loans or with funding it yourself. So that's part of the goal. The goal is to make a small business that's self-sustaining, which it's not at the moment, then be able to move to creative projects. So I mean, that's just what I'm trying to do. You know, see if it works out. Oh, did I just move the camera? No. Do you think you'd take a lot of OP inspiration if you made a film? No, I actually wouldn't. You should start a marketing agency. That's what we are, dude. Um, One Piece inspiration. One Piece. Okay, a move in my like. I don't like talking too much about like my personal creative interests because like it's like yeah, I think like everybody in their mind is like, oh, I'd like to write a book or I'd like to do a movie at some point. So like it feels like I'm talking about nothing here, but it is stuff that I've thought a lot about, and like a lot of my side work has gone into trying to like get a lot of my ideas down for my own projects and stuff. But like if I were to do a movie, it wouldn't be One Piece inspired whatsoever. Like the movie that I have in mind is like the movies that I'm influenced in are actually very different from like my manga and anime series that I watch. But then when I think in terms of long term stories, so for example, if I were to be able to write like a book series or something like that, because I like writing a lot, but I don't see myself ever doing that, then like I think One Piece influence would seep much more into any sort of long form storytelling, because I think One Piece is like the best you can get with long form storytelling. Like I don't see the way Oda does things in terms of long form storytelling is just like better than anything I've ever seen, so there'd be strong influence there for sure. Yeah, it is. Storytelling is a strong, strong passion of mine. Like I really, really, really want to be able to uh, get my own series out there, but what I would want to start with is like I really want to start with making like an indie film. That would be like, and I have that because that's the concept that I have most clearly in my mind of like everything that would be about some dialogue and stuff is written. So yeah, but you need money to get off to that sort of start. Where the hell is? Oh yeah, we're at Batman, by the way. If you guys are paying attention to the panels, I'm on chapter 914 for anybody who's just tuning in. I don't know what Toei is thinking sometimes. And what's crazy is that this wasn't even like it was lazy filler, but the thing that really sticks out to me with this is that how hard they went on animating it. Like it's like you know what I mean? Like if they had just done some like lazy stuff of like Luffy taking a swing at Batman, but like Batman knocking him away or whatever, then it's just like, oh, Toei being Toei. But it's like they went hard on the animation for that. Like it looked good. It's just that it was for Batman. They clearly thought it was a good idea. I don't like the fact that Gazelle Man said that he runs 200 kilometers per hour. Um, I don't like it when like I don't like putting a number on certain things like because in this sort of manga I like the like when characters move fast and then they can like there's characters who are faster than them and like characters who are faster and faster than them and characters who are so fast that they make those characters look extremely slow and then you have like Kizaru and stuff like um I rather kind of just leave that sort of thing to the imagination, like how fast are these characters going. I don't like seeing an actual number put on that sort of thing. So then when we get some dude like Gazelle Man and we get a number put on him at like 200 kilometers per hour, and then we see that like Luffy and Zoro don't immediately catch him, that does kind of bother me. You know what I mean? In the previous video, you said the Straw Hats post Wano will come out as a Yonko level crew. How do you think it's possible with Big Mom coming to Wano? I think it's precisely because Big Mom came to Wano. Like, it's in that same video that I thought that I said that I thought that the Straw Hats would come out of Wano as a Yonko level crew. I'm pretty sure. So, I mean, I definitely think that Big Mom being in Wano to me indicates that because in my mind, like, Big Mom and Kaido both go down this arc, right? I've felt that way for a long, long time. And like, if they're both going down this arc, then the Straw Hats should be like that's two Yonko down. There's no reason the Straw Hats shouldn't be going down, like shouldn't be coming out of Wano as a Yonko level crew by the end of this. And to me, that just seems like natural progression because going into this arc, which is set up to be a huge arc in my opinion, going into this arc, like the setup was that Luffy was finally starting to being called an emperor, right? Like they're finally starting to call him like the fifth emperor. But you know, there was obviously controversy, even like Blackbeard saying, "No, you're not quite there yet." Shanks is saying, "The time for us to meet is soon," indicating that it's not quite yet time to meet, but like Luffy's on his way there. So it seemed like Luffy's coming into this arc basically the next step. Like there's no next step after this to me that involves him not coming out as like him and his crew Yonko level because he's already at that stage of being called a pseudo Yonko. You know what I mean? Like the next step is just for him to actually reach that level and for his crew to follow suit, in my opinion. I like that. I like that Oda remembers little things like so I mean, this isn't remarkable. It's just a really small thing. So like Luffy stretches out to grab the dog as the dog's running by to like, you know, chase after Tom and everything like that. And then we get a little panel of like Tsuru being surprised that his arm can stretch, right? She's a little freaked out by it. But like if I was Oda at this point I would easily have forgotten a million times over that like characters should still be surprised when Luffy can stretch his arm. You know what I mean? Like how many times do you have to remember, oh wait, this is the first time this character is seeing Luffy stretch his arm. This is the first time this character is realizing that Luffy's a rubber man and that that's not normal because it's so normalized for us as the viewers. You know what I mean? So like, good on Oda for remembering that like, hey, this is the first time that Suru and Kiku have seen Luffy stretch his arm, and this is not normal to the average person. So therefore, I should show that like I have to add a little reaction face of their shock in or whatever. Really minor, but just a funny thought. Okay, I do see Batman did give them a bit of trouble initially. Like, there's a panel here where they're chasing after Batman, and Batman's arrows do seem to stop their progression for at least a moment. So consider that. Toei just took that and ran with it. They flew with it. They went bananas with basically this little instance of struggle. Yeah, I think Zoro will make Enma Black Blade by the end of the arc, which is part of the reason I think it's going to be a really long arc. Back when Hold'em was intimidating, briefly. I love scenes that have like Luffy and Zoro. Like this is when Luffy and Zoro are most in tune when they're in battle, basically. Because like most of the time, Luffy's not in this mode, but this is the mode that they both uh, what do you call fit with each other best, I suppose. Mesh. Wow, I'm reading at a terrifically slow rate. Okay, this is interesting. In this translation, it says, I remember it was something like Zoro's aura scared off Urashima, according to Jimini's box, but here it's saying just Zoro's intensity drove me off. So, I guess it wasn't an aura exactly. Hey, Louis Seguar. Good to see you. Reread's going really, really slow, but that's good because I'm taking good notes. Okay, so what I wrote down just now, for you guys who are in here, um, just another small. A lot of these notes are small things, and then like when I go back through, then I'm seeing how many times small ideas come into play repeatedly, and then that's when I can take it as like, okay, that's a big idea. So earlier in this arc, like one of the things that was being talked about was basically, how all around, basically every region except pretty much the flower capital has these leftover towns. The most regions except for the flower capital have been turned into basic wastelands, and really only it's Orochi's area that is, everyone's living the high life, and that kind of goes back to if you remember when we first meet Orochi, he's talking about how Wano is basically a paradise because of course it's paradise for him, but not for most people, right? So that just reminded me a little bit about Goa Kingdom, where obviously Goa Kingdom had, uh, the town with the elite, rich, nobles, etc., and then all around it was basically people who were treated as trash, right? So a little bit of a parallel there. And then what I wrote down just now was basically just Urashima was talking a lot about like this chapter. I remember and just reading through it is stressing a lot, basically like how class and status matter a lot, and how Kiku is low class and such, but Urashima doesn't care because he just wants her, and obviously because he's upper class, he can do whatever he wants. He can take her by force or burn her house down or whatever he wants. Um, and that it doesn't matter because Wano has a strict class system, is being said right here, and Urashima belongs to the warrior class and stuff like that. So again, that's another bit of a parallel to the. We don't see this sort of class hierarchy stressed as much in One Piece, but this arc it is actually being stressed a little bit. It's easy to forget, but it was at the beginning, and I forgot until I was rereading just now. So that's two things. So two things that kind of parallel Goa Kingdom. You know what I mean? Because Goa did have that sort of situation of okay, only this one area gets all the nice stuff, and all the surrounding areas are treated as trash. And then here, it's being reinforced the idea of like classism, class system, and stuff. That was also a big theme of that whole Goa arc, right? Well, Luffy's flashback, basically. So it's come up twice now, and I haven't felt it as much throughout the reading the rest of Wano, but it looks like Oda was stressing those parallels a little bit towards the beginning. So I'm gonna write it down for now, and then we'll see if like that like comes up big as Wano goes on, because I haven't felt like it's been a big theme aside from these early stages of Wano. But early on, just reading from what I've read, it does seem like there are some parallels specifically to the Goa arc that I haven't seen otherwise. Is chat alright? What happened to chat? Am I not seeing chat? Oh, it just popped up. Chat is like super delayed for me right now. Since you've started making One Piece videos, how's your relationship with the series and how you consume it changed, if at all that is? It changed a little bit. Okay, my relationship with the series has changed in that I feel like I need to read. Okay, that's a good question, dude. Couple things. So the way I read it now hasn't really changed, but I am now more focused. Like, now when I read or reread, okay, when I read a new chapter, now I am actively looking for more stuff. So before it was more like, before I did any YouTube stuff, it was more organic. So like if I see stuff, then like, oh, that's cool, and then maybe I write it down or something like that. And eventually that builds into notes that turned into videos for my YouTube channel. But now it's like, okay, actively looking. So when I'm reading a chapter, I'm making sure that I'm not missing stuff or missing ideas or stuff like that. And I'm really thinking about why I like something or dislike something. And I'm trying to make a note of it whenever I can. So that's one thing, but that hasn't like negatively affected my experience. I actually like doing that more now, and now I feel like I'm thinking more about the story, right? With reading and with rereading, it's gotten a little worse. Not worse, it's just like I feel like I can't avoid it because like now, like one of the things I always used to like to do before I did my YouTube channel was just go back and read the colored version of One Piece for fun, just arcs and little parts and stuff that I liked, just for fun. Like that was a nice way to relax or whatever, right? And before I could just do that, but now even when I do that just for fun, like if I notice something and then I realize, oh, that's cool, like that's the symbol of the sun right here or something like that, and I hadn't noticed that before, right? Like if I see something that plays into one of the ideas I have for videos or something, then I can't help but like take a moment, like either it's like, okay, I can remember it in my head and then I'll forget it later, or I have to take a moment to like pull up notes and then add that to my notes and stuff, and it's like unavoidable. It's like even when I feel like I'm reading the series for fun, like if I think of something or like I see something, then I've got to add that to the notes and stuff and like expand on my thoughts and stuff. So it's just that makes it a little more tedious, but it's unavoidable. And then the last thing is that I feel like now I'm part of the community, so now I can't control the way that I read, and that like you'd be surprised. I used to take solid breaks when reading One Piece, as in like if an so like for example when Dressrosa ended. Dressrosa was a very dense arc. It ended with Kaido, which was very cool. But at the end of it, I was basically like, okay, that was fun to read. Now let me take a nice long break from One Piece, and then I'll get back into it like partway through the next arc. So I didn't read from like chapter 801, probably all the way to like I got back into it right about in the time Rhizodona's Safe came out. So I was able to binge read. Like I like to do that very often, which is like take a break from One Piece and then just binge it all at some later point. Um, I really like doing that, especially with flashbacks. I try to do that. But now that I'm part of the community, and even though I haven't been doing videos frequently, I can't help but like go on Twitter or go on Reddit or something like that, or like just seeing comments on videos, and like no matter what, like I can't like detach as much. Like I could if I really wanted to. Like if I'm just like, okay, I'm gonna be like, shut off Twitter for more, shut off my YouTube thing. I'm not gonna check any of that. I'm not gonna go on Reddit or anything like that. And then I could not get any One Piece updates period if I wanted. But it feels harder because it's like, oh, what if there's some really stuff going on that some really great stuff going on that I could make a video on or something like that. So it's just harder to detach and then like binge watch as I want basically. That's about it. How many languages do I know? I know two. I know English and Hindi. Yeah, okay, I don't dislike the weekly reading experience. I like the weekly reading experience, but I like binging it more. You know what I mean? Like weekly reading when it's good, it's great because it's like it's one of those things where it's good, it's great, right? Like Marine Ford, for example, the peak of Marine Ford, reading that weekly was awesome because it's just like every week is a huge development, and then you get like a full week to like just think about that kind of and like how awesome that like the hype stays there for like a week. Like obviously it's not like you're thinking about it that entire week or whatever. It's just like damn, that was so cool, and then you just like want more for like a full week, and then next week it's even cooler, and then the week after that it's even cooler. So like it's really it helps you feel. That's something I feel about like when you been now so many TV shows they just come out all at once as a series, right? Netflix will release a full series all at once. Like if people used to watch House of Cards or whatever. Or, like recently, I binge watched a series called The Boys on Amazon. All right, it's a cool superhero series. It's a decent series. I felt it's fun. I'm looking forward to the second season. Another example is like Stranger Things or whatever. So those are binge watching series, right? They all come out at once. The thing is with those type of series, the big moments, like if they had been coming out week to week, you would probably remember them more. But for example, if I'm watching a Stranger Things or The Boys or something like that, when there's a big moment, yes, it's cool and it's a highlight moment, but it quickly, like, it fades because you're just watching more and more and more, and like there's more and more content that you're absorbing basically. So like the peaks don't stand out as clearly. You know what I mean? Whereas if you're reading, or if you're getting episodes week to week, so like for in comparison, like my favorite TV show ever, Breaking Bad, like each week, I remember the final season of Breaking Bad as it was coming out, like each week, each episode was an event, and you're really thinking about that event, and then you're talking with your friends about that event. Like I was in college at the time, and like everybody would get together in the majority of our floor watched Breaking Bad. This was freshman year of college, and everybody would get together to like watch that week's episode in the lounge, which was like fun. Like a lot of these people I didn't talk to much, but it was just like an event, and then like that's something to talk about for the rest of the week, so that event stands out more. So you're reading it, or like you're feeling it in a more you're experiencing it in a more memorable way than just binge watching, where everything just sort of blurs together, and even the highs are kind of, they fade more easily. You know what I mean? So that's a long way of saying that basically like binging has its benefits. Like it's maybe more fun all the way through, but like week to week hits you hard. Like week to week will leave a stronger impression on you. For example, like Rise Dono is safe, right? Like Rise Dono is safe. I feel like if I were reading One Piece all the way through, and that was just one chapter out of like 20 chapters that I'd read in that day, or like I don't know, 80 chapters that I'd read in that week, then that doesn't stand out as much as for as a moment for me. Same with like Nothing Happened. Do you know what I mean? Um, yeah, that's just how I feel. So there's moments that I'm gonna appreciate more because I read them week to week. Um, like I'm gonna remember when Kaido and Big Mom decided they were gonna team up. I'm gonna remember that that was a huge development. Um, just stuff like that. You know what I mean? But the thing is, other things. So for example, let's say backstories, right? Backstories, I always try to take a solid break. So backstories, yeah, backstories are the biggest example. Backstories, I always like to take a big break. When I know a backstory starting, I like to take a break. I ask a friend of mine to basically, same friend who lets me film videos that have a background and stuff in my videos. I have one anime friend who does let me film at his place and stuff, because my apartment is just not suited to that. But anyway, basically, like I ask him to tip me off, like, you know, when the backstory's finished, then I go and binge the backstory. The reason I like binging backstories is because, like for a story to feel to feel fully sad for me personally, like I need to get it all at once. Like Nico Robin's story was really sad for me because I read it all the way through, and like the big moment of it is usually the ending tragedy, so it's not like I'm missing out on something by not reading it week to week. I'm getting better build up by like letting like the tragedy build up, like reading the full thing in one go, in like one sitting basically, you know what I mean? So backstories I like to read binge. But then like other stuff like this war that's coming, I'm gonna appreciate more reading week to week. The reason that I like to start arcs, like when a new arc starts, I like to give it a gap and then binge it, is because usually a new arc is not gonna have that many big moments early on. It's gonna be more so setup. So like I would have very, very, very much liked to have read all of this Act Two of Wano. Act Two of Wano, ideally, I would have liked to have read um, binged. You know what I mean? And then this battle section, this war section, I very much want to read week to week. But then when we get to like Odin's flashback, I'm gonna want to read that binged. So that's just, yeah, a long way of saying that there's pros and cons to binge reading and weekly reading. Same with binge watching TV and weekly watching TV. Certain things I think are better binged, like emotional stuff. Certain things are better, like shocking or hard hitting plot based developments, I think are better weekly. That's it. Ending was so trash, didn't finish the last season. Ending of what? I missed some comments here. Guys, I might have to actually wrap up on this chapter, because or I'll read Urashima's chapter, but this is not, I kind of messed up. I'm bad at like just doing a read through and just being able to focus on the read through, because I feel like I want to interact with the chat, because I feel like you guys are getting nothing out of me just like silently reading this. And I'm tired. Honestly, I'm very tired right now. Kind of want to sleep. He's unstoppable. So I think I'm gonna close it on this chapter. just talk to you guys for a little bit, and then I'm probably gonna call it. I'm a little confused on Okiku's personality. I know it's the male female thing or whatever, but I guess her male side is the warrior side, the fighting side, and her female side is her like basically her neutral state or whatever. But like her resting female state or whatever, and then she gets into warrior mode, which shifts to the male personality. All right, I'm gonna call it on this chapter for the moment. Let me shift over to me for a second. Why am I looking so dark? Do I always just look this dark? I definitely don't. It's just dark outside. Is this a good stopping point? It's a good stopping point for me, so I'll call it for myself here. There we go. A little less dark. Okay, so I'm just going to talk for a little bit, and then I'm just going to close the stream, if that's all good. When do you think Zoro's backstory be set to reveal that Queen is alive? Is this an office? This is an office. This is my office. You think Zoro's... I don't understand this question about Zoro's backstory. What's your favorite moment in Wano so far? That's a good question. Favorite moment in Wano so far? Yasuo's death. I think Yasuo's death is my favorite moment in Wano so far. That... Maybe Kaido's... It depends. Kaido's appearance for hype. Yasuo's death, story-wise. Luffy's moment with the prisoners is a strong third. I'd say that's the ranking of it. I need a haircut. It's getting very unruly. Moria will come to Luffy and help Luffy, maybe. Yasuo's death was so irrelevant. Irrelevant. What do you mean by irrelevant? To me, it's not about, like, relevance. I love Yasuo's death because you can just take it in isolation as a strong, like, you know, I call it it's like a tragedy in 20 pages is how I view it. Like, you can come from out, like, you know, this will be in one of the videos that I do in a bit, but, man, it's hot, I'm sweating. I turn on the AC, but the AC is really loud in here, so then you guys won't be able to hear me. So I just have to, like, be like this, basically. And it's hot. But, oh, shit, what was I saying? Yeah, Yasuo's death just works on its own. Like, it could not be part... Like, you could just drop into One Piece's story without knowing any prior context, and then you could read that chapter and still feel... It's not going to make you tear up or anything like that. It's not a backstory like that. But it's a well-written chapter, and it's a well-executed chapter. Really well-directed chapter, for example. Well-written, well-executed, well-directed. So you can come into One Piece with no prior context, and at the end of it, feel that something bad happened to a good man, basically, and that's why it's effective, in my opinion. Similar to, I'd say it's. I'll talk more about this in like my Wano review stuff, basically, but in my mind, I view it similar to like the purpose was similar to something more like a Senior Pink backstory, where it doesn't matter if it's that relevant, like it doesn't matter if we were that attached to this character beforehand. The depth or the chapter was well executed. You know what I mean? Phenomenally well executed. Skipping just to start the War of Kaido fast. It depends on how you view it, because I think that most of the story is going to play out after this, basically. Did I invite Dritz to the Wano report? No, Dritz is a okay. People who dislike Dritz, here's how I view him as misguided, not a hater. He's misguided, and I like him as a person outside of his One Piece opinions because we've talked at length, basically. So, if you want to change your perspective on Dritz, there's a video he did after the Reverie. Go look it up. You might still have it on. It's like a stream, like post Reverie, probably something like that. And then go towards the end of that stream where he's just reminiscing. Dritz like really, really, really loves One Piece. And he just personally, like, if you go to the end of the series or end of that stream or whatever, you see him actually getting very emotional about the series. So he actually really likes the series. He just feels like it's not at the standard it once was, if you understand what I mean. So he doesn't just hate the series. Like, it's kind of like he loves it so much that he's upset that he doesn't feel that love anymore. You know what I mean? It's just a funny sort of, I don't know. He's misguided in that I don't think he understands why it's being written the way it is at the moment, and he just feels that, well, this isn't Enies Lobby right now, or this isn't like Marineford right now. Therefore, Oda's like lost his marbles, and I think he's kind of nitpicking more because he's not getting the same feels when maybe that's not where the story's supposed to be at right now. You understand what I'm saying? What do you think Oda drew a Law panel right after Orochi? I think that's just to show that Law's still in the story, dude. Because, like, if it's to indicate that Law's a traitor and tipping us off that Law's the traitor, then that's, like, just a big spoiler that I hope Oda wouldn't be stupid enough to do. Yeah. That, and, like, I just don't see Law's story heading towards him, being a traitor, period. Like, I just don't think that makes sense for his arc. I was planning on rereading this entire arc today. Here's how I calculated it. Like an idiot. I thought that, Wano's it's close to 50 chapters, give it 5 minutes per chapter, something. It equates to about 4 hours-ish, maybe give or take or whatever. So I thought I could just read through this in this whole thing in like 4 hours. One, I didn't realize I wouldn't have the stamina to do this for 4 hours. Two, I didn't realize that, like, I'm gonna, like, if I'm doing this sort of read-through wise, then I'm gonna want to just interact with the chat a bunch while doing it. And sort of share my thoughts and, like, just respond to you guys talking stuff. So I got through, I don't know, like 8 chapters. Like, less. Got through 5 chapters. It kind of sucked. Yeah, I'm just going to reread on my own because I have to write the stuff I have to write. So, I don't know. I'm just going to try and reread. How long does it usually take to read through a chapter when you're not streaming? So, I don't know. It depends. So, if it's a new chapter... If it's a brand new chapter that just came out, I take my fucking time reading it. So it'll be probably like maybe 10 minutes or something to read a new chapter. Okay? So something long, like somewhere around 10 minutes. But then if it's, rereading, then I assume that I can probably do it in like 5 minutes. That's my thought. I've never like timed myself. Where are we at? My phone situation is so annoying because, like, this stuff pops up, like, infrequently. Like, the chat pops up, like, in bursts. You sleep in your office? I'm gonna today. It's fucking late. You guys would be surprised at the shit that I do nowadays. I'm not talking about the traitor. Please, no one give me ideas about the traitor because, like, I want to be surprised personally. You know what I mean? Like, I actually don't want to solve who the traitor is. Can you look at your chat on your laptop? That's a good idea. Who said that? The chat's already disappeared, but that's a good idea. French school, thanks. Appreciate it. Could Hiyori be a strong samurai herself? I don't think so, personally. Someone named Daniel Fines is saying that he was the traitor. Thanks for fucking spoiling it. Is Hiyori a thought? It's possible that Hiyori didn't actually sleep with anyone of those dudes that you know uh based on the way that she operates, it's possible she hasn't like prostituted herself out at all. Wait, why can't Hiyori be a good swordsman? My only thought is that like she seems so like if she was a strong swordsman, the sense I've gotten is that she's been helpless at every single instance that we've seen her, like in dire need of protection 24/7 basically. Like there's just been multiple instances in my opinion where it looks like if she was a strong swordsman she would have shown it, or if she is a capable fighter at all she would have shown it, and it just hasn't happened at all yet. So if Oda's saving it for a surprise, then like maybe I could see it, but like even against Kawamatsu, like why is she calling out to Zoro for help then if Kawamatsu's not Kawamatsu, sorry, I confused it. If Kamazo, now who we know to be Killer, was chasing her, if she could have fought him, then wouldn't she have done it before getting to the point where she needed somebody else to do it? Wano will be the biggest war in the series, not the final war. No, the final war will be the biggest. It's just that Wano might stretch over the longest period of, like, I view it as kind of phases, so I think Wano is the start of the final war. Like, this is the war, this is the start of the war. Like, Kaido even said, let's start the big war. Doflamingo is saying the war is about to begin. The idea is that there will be, like, a large-scale war that will probably take place over multiple arcs, in my opinion. It's just that Wano is the first phase of it, and probably Kaido and Big Mom both go down by the end of Wano. Where do you see Kaido's story ending? Probably with him dying. Sorry, I'm just seeing. Did I save the stream? Alright, we're back. Yeah, I'm gonna call it in like a couple minutes. Who would win, Katakuri or Batman? Katakuri, but it'd be close. I do think we'll get a lot more Smoothie this arc. Smoothie's here. Yeah, I think we're definitely gonna get a Kaido flashback. That's just been happening lately, like Doflamingo, Big Mom, Katakuri, and such. I definitely think like Kaido's the most built up out of all of these, and just inherent to the Rocks flashback, we're most likely gonna get some Kaido information on it. Usopp's character development, sure, but Usopp's not like high on my list of priorities right now. I do think Kid will become a Yonko. So I'm not trying to answer like complex questions at the moment just because I'm trying to end the stream soon. Awaken his fruit and kill a bunch of enemies like Roger did. I do think Luffy will awaken his fruit. I just think that's actually the last ability he's going to gain for certain reasons. And I think Conqueror's Haki, Armament Haki for sure, and Conqueror's Haki will be big this arc, and maybe a new gear. I do think a new, like, in my mind, if he's gonna fight Kaido on equal footing at some point this arc, then a new gear. I just think that's like way down the line. I think Wano's gonna be a very long arc. Do I consider myself a Yonko? No, I'm not a pirate. I'm not a character in One Piece. Kid will not be Yonko level. I don't know. Probably not by the end of this arc. I don't think Luffy will end up with Boa. Why are you so pretty? I was born that way. Brago's a Yonko. If we're talking about like YouTube community, then hell yeah, Brago's a Yonko. Brago's been like the secret Yonko. He just didn't have the subs to back it. For Neverworld, if we're doing this, for Neverworld's like a former Yonko. The prettiest Yonko? I'll take it. Tekking's the fucking Pirate King. Like, if we're being honest, Tekking's the Pirate King. Because you could stack like you could take like who's next biggest? You could take like Rogers base and Joy Boy, who I think is next out. You could take their subs and then stack them up together, and it's still not as high as Tekking subs. So like I think it's almost disrespectful to call Tekking a Yonko. He's the Pirate King of the community, in my opinion. I think people say Yonko to be polite. I have finished studying. I studied government politics, but so didn't want to do that stuff in actual, for my career. I wanted to work for myself. Conqueror's Haki saps the enemy stamina. I definitely believe that there's another level to Conqueror's Haki. I just don't think that that it saps the enemy stamina. And I think Conqueror's Haki is the key to defeating Kaido, in my opinion. I'm a supernova, I guess. I feel like if I was more active, then I'd be higher in sub count personally. Like, if I uploaded more frequently or pushed more frequently, I'd be closer to the level that I want to be. Have you watched Kraftsdwarf's video? Do you think you'll ever interact with him? Which video? I've seen some of Kraftsdwarf's videos. I've seen his earlier ones on One Piece. I haven't seen the most recent Kraftsdwarf's video I saw, I think, was Beyond Blood. I think that's the latest one of his that I saw. I did interact with him once on Discord. From what I've heard through people who know Kraftsdwarf better, I don't think he likes the general One Piece community. So I just kind of like has like I don't know if he'd see me as like annoying if I'm like reaching out to him or something like that. That's the impression that like through the grapevine, that's what I've heard. So and I talked to him once on Discord and it was civil. So I was also not super up to date on his videos, so I'll check those out at some point. Let me think. I think Beyond Blood and the Skypiea one. So it depends. Like I definitely thought Beyond Blood was a lot better than the Skypiea one. So I think like I wonder if his videos have like kept like what do you call? Like I wonder what his videos now are like, or he does things a little differently than I do, but there are definitely points in some of his videos that I've liked a lot. Like I think fun fact, I actually cut like the biggest theme in Whole Cake Island, in my opinion, is actually family. But I actually cut that whole section, which was initially in my video, from the video because one, I was looking for sections to cut because it was already 45 minutes and it was 60 minutes in the rough draft basically. But I was cutting sections. I cut the family section because I was like, I think Kraftsdorf did a really good job with that in talking about family related themes in Beyond Blood. So definitely go watch that video of his if you've you know if you haven't. I think it's a good video. And there was a very good point in there I remember about like Katakuri being like Mochi, because he always like he outlined in a good way that I hadn't thought about yet about how Katakuri parallels Luffy that I hadn't thought. Oh, Craftros a fan? Oh shit! Now my thing's froze. If Craft Dwarf's a fan, then we'll have to get him on the Wano report at some point if he'll want to do it. That's the thing. I don't know if he'd want to do it. I know that he did a series called the Nen Show on with his with a YouTuber friend of his as well. I think I don't know that YouTuber, but so he's clearly open to doing that sort of thing. But I think he knew that guy well. Um, so I would definitely. I'll ask O'Hara to invite if we'd be down to invite him on the Wano report at some point. There's a bit of a list at this point, but that'd be cool. Is Big Mom scheming to backstab Kaido? I really don't know. Um, if she's smart, she would be. You think Bonnie will rescue Kuma? I'm looking for a good thing to end on. King of Lightning on the Wano report. I've barely talked to King of Lightning ever. Most YouTubers I've talked to have only talked through. So from the Reverie, there's like a nice fat group chat where on Twitter where like lots of the I get some insights to like the other YouTubers talking to each other and stuff, and then I chime in once in a while with my own questions and stuff like that. So I haven't really talked to most big One Piece YouTubers one on one, but like I've talked to them through the group chat basically. So King of Lightning, I don't know well. He's given me some tips on channel stuff briefly in the group chat, but like he'd be an interesting vibe to bring to the Wano report. Uh yeah, maybe I'll call it. Okay, give me one more good question and then I'll call it. Weevil killed Nekomamushi and Marco. I don't like that. Yeah, I don't think that would happen off stream. I think that Luffy will fight Blackbeard after him / the world government. Well, one more good question. The Bonnie question is too speculative. I don't even have an answer to that. Dude, the Bonnie question is too speculative. I don't have an answer to that. Okay, do you think Bonnie will rescue Kuma and hide on Wano? Oh, actually, no, I do think that Bonnie could turn Odin's kid. I actually made a theory video on that now that I'm actually reading it. To French school, you may not know this, but I grew O'Hara like a shrub into the beautiful tree that he now is. Not grew him like what do you call? I'm not taking credit for all of his growth or whatever, but he's been making my thumbnails since I don't know, like late 2018 or whatever, and I've been shouting him out since then and kind of giving him tips on his videos and stuff. And obviously now he's like grown wings and taken flight, and his channel's blowing up faster than my channel or whatever. But like, my team up with O'Hara, I promise you, is not random. Like he's the YouTube guru I've known best for the longest time, basically. I do think Oda is moving the pace faster than usual. Um, yeah, I do think Oda's moving the pace faster than usual, but he's also got way more storylines and way more characters to cover than usual. So I feel like he wants to get to the meat of the arc because we were just in the setup phase for the most part. I think King will probably be stronger than Katakuri. That's about all I can say at the moment. I don't think he's like way stronger. Probably around the same level. Bill Nguyen, you talk a lot about teams. What the team wanted so far. Wait till about Monday, latest Tuesday, and then I'll have my Wano arc early analysis out, and then I'll talk about all that stuff. Are you a Hunter x Hunter or Berserk fan? I was a big Hunter x Hunter fan. I haven't been keeping up to the series for a bit because I actually read. Oh, and I'm a Berserk fan. Berserk, I'm actually rereading it. Or sorry, Berserk. I had never read the full thing, so I am caught in the middle of a slow reread of it from start to finish. I just finished the Golden Age arc, um, and I need to move past that basically. But I got caught up in another series in the middle, so that is kind of on pause. But I want to get through all of Berserk. I really like that series. Hunter x Hunter, I really like that series. It's just that I've put it on pause as well, just because I want to be able to binge the entire boat arc because the boat arc is really. I feel like it only works if you're able to get everything back to back to back. Like I talked earlier in the stream about like what some things are better read weekly, some things are better read back to back. This boat arc is so like the boat arc I feel has the potential to be like one of my favorite arcs or storylines of anything ever because it's so much like I really like you guys don't know this because like One Piece is the series I talk about the most, but I really like mystery type stuff. I like horror type stuff. Um, I like plots that have a very large cast of characters and a lot of plot lines running. So that's very One Piece related, obviously. But like the boat arc is basically all of that combined.